Welcome to this new course on having amazing conversations. Thank you for joining. And just again to repeat, this course is not about making a hard list of to-dos in a conversation. That'll only get you in a kind of contracted position. I more want to invite you to adopt or sort of absorb this awareness that I'll be sharing and just have it in the back of your mind. And I'll also be giving some useful practice tips as well. And just trust that it will come out in the moment naturally. And only then I think it will fully work. So yeah, let's make ourselves more prone to have better conversations. And so this first session is about the check-in. And the check-in is a practice that I've learned while studying nonviolent communication. And I'm going to make it a little bit broader. I'm going to make this session about meeting our needs. And then apply it specifically to having a conversation, being with other humans. And I always start my sessions with a quote. And here I have one from L.M. Montgomery. It's been my experience that you can nearly always enjoy things if you make up your mind firmly that you will. So this is also my intention. We can enjoy things, and I want us to have a kind of awareness to what needs do I have? How can I make this moment of my life more enjoyable? If we apply that disposition towards a conversation, then that too is more likely to become enjoyable. And one last quote from Walt Whitman. He said, "Do anything, but let it produce joy." So yeah, this session is really about the joy that we can have when we are aware of our needs. And so the main lesson from this session is that the more your needs are met, the more open and curious you will be, and the less resentment also you will have at the same time. And checking in is kind of a process in the beginning of a conversation, the check-in, that turns our attention to our present state and our needs, and kind of openly invites us to have care as a priority. And yeah, I can say for myself that from studying NVC, coming from a background also of having read about attachment theory, I thought, okay, NVC will help me get more securely attached in my relationships. And that's because people who are securely attached, they tend to have more awareness of their needs. And that's why I studied NVC. And it really helped. Studying NVC, working with it, practicing it, and of course also teaching it. It has brought me so much more ease in my life. Just even the awareness that I have needs, and then knowing what they are, and then attuning to them makes me more happy, makes me more relaxed. If I have a need for company, or a need for silence, or a need for to be heard, whatever, and then to go for that, it just simply makes my life happier. And because of that, it also makes me a much better listener. And this includes saying sometimes no to a conversation as well sometimes. So the idea about awareness of needs and the check-in as sort of a portal towards going to needs is to make the situation and the surroundings of the conversation so enjoyable that it will kind of feel like a celebration. Considerations like, would you really like to lay down? Would you like to have your eyes closed? You want to go beyond being polite and actually ask for the moon. And also the harder parameters of what is your hard stop? When do you have to go to the next meeting, or when is your next commitment? And then communicate about the perimeters and the parameters. This will calm you down. So what can you pay attention to? I think a good way to look at it is also the paradigm of set and setting, which you may know from certain kinds of therapeutic modalities. And to just introduce that topic a little bit, I'm going to read a quote from a scientific paper written by Ido Hartogsohn. And he takes, among other things, from Timothy Leary, who's also a very famous figure. And this is the quote. Set is understood as anything related to the internal state of a person, including personality, preparation for the experience, intention, as well as mood, expectations, fears, wishes. Setting is understood as anything related to the environment in which the experience takes place, including the physical environment, the emotional, social environment, and finally the cultural environment. So this is something about set and setting. So taking care of our mindset, of our inner state, and of the circumstance, the setting, the place that we are. So what we can ask ourselves is, what do you need? What does your body need? And you can also involve things, especially when it's about a conversation. How do you feel about eye contact? And then you can also communicate about that. For many people, it can be a bit too intense to maintain eye contact. And then for others, it's very alone if they don't have enough eye contact. So to make these things a topic of conversation will really help you to create a common biosphere that you just can both flourish in. And if you have, for instance, if you think about the parameters of your meeting, if it's online, maybe you need to do a blue light filter. Maybe you need to adjust the lighting in your room or close the door or, I don't know, feed your cat so that they won't bother you. All these little things to take care of to make your conversation a more pleasant place. And this is also where I want to talk now about the actual practice of checking in. So what you can do as a check-in is it actually gives an opportunity and invites everybody, if it's just you two or more people, it gives an opportunity for people to look into themselves and see how they're actually doing in the moment. How are they feeling? What are they bringing with them? What might they be needing? And you can do that as well in the office space as in your personal life. I've read some articles also for preparation of this course where companies are actually known to do this check-in, and they have much more efficient meetings because people are welcomed as they are. And so a check-in invites authenticity, invites connection. It's based on feelings and needs because you want to go more with what's present. And there's no need to respond. It's really just to give people some minutes. So what we usually do is you decide on a time. Let's do a check-in. Okay, how about we do 2 minutes each or 3 minutes each? And then you just listen. There's no dialogue yet. It's really just one person expressing where they are. And it's really mostly about landing in presence. So this is the check-in that I wanted to bring. And it's a beautiful practice to allow everybody to become present. And what I invite you to do, if you want to take this course and this session into a bit of practice of your own, is a few things. The first thing you can do is to journal or to reflect a little bit. It can also be with a video or writing. And that would be to reflect for yourself about what are you aware of that bothers you during meetings or conversations, but that you never mention. So if you just journal about that, just go into your imagination or your memory and then find those things. And then next time you can actually bring that. And as part of this journaling exercise, I would like you to not stay on the level of a complaint, not have like this negative kind of association, but connect to the needs that are behind that. So for instance, let's see, what's an example? Say that you don't like it when people interrupt you before you're done speaking. Then write down, especially if you never mention it, but also, and you can write down all the judgments, and maybe even you can sort of, celebrate the judgments for a little while. So really like go all out and say how much it annoys you. And then also see what needs are there. And I can imagine if somebody interrupts you and you don't like it and you don't say it, there are some needs, for instance, around peace or time or space. And then really feel into how beautiful that is for you. How would it be if my need for time and space and relaxation be completely met? And then from that energy is a much more positive energy. With that energy, you can then next time make a request about letting somebody finish you while you speak. And then the next thing I would invite you to do, if you want to, it can be with your partner, with a friend, with colleagues, to just try this check-in. So before a meeting, or if you're going to have a family meeting even, make a time in the beginning where you deliberately allow for people any given agreed number of minutes, maybe 2 or 3, to just express where they are, and then really invite them to check in how they're feeling and what they think they might be needing. So that is the message I wanted to give today. And just to repeat sort of what I think the main message is that the more your needs are met, the more open and curious you will be in the conversation. And if your needs are met, you'll be less likely to be resentful, because that does happen. And checking in turns our attention to our present state and needs. And that's really a warm invitation for you to start involving in your life. So that's the session. I want to give you one more quote. It's also a little bit of a link to the next session. And this is something you might recognize. It's from Mary Smith. And this is what she said. Enjoy your body. Use it every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or what other people think of it. It's the greatest instrument you'll ever own. Dance. Even if you have nowhere to do it but in your living room. Okay, that was the session. I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.